For RCRTech, my name's Sean Kinney, and for this session in our executive interview series during AI Infrastructure Week, it's a pleasure to welcome from Google Cloud, Gururaj, Bhat, and Adeel Khan. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Before we get into our conversation, though, maybe you could each give us a bit of an overview of your respective roles with Google. Gururaj, can we start with you?
Absolutely. Great to be here and having the conversation, Sean. My name is Gururaj Bhat. I'm Google practice leader for AI. It's interesting that we are currently living through the biggest platform shift since the internet. So I focus on guiding enterprises through this transformation, helping them leverage the Google Cloud ecosystem to fundamentally reimagine the customer experiences, optimize the operational models, and monetize through agentic AI.
All right, and Adeel?
Same here. Thank you, Sean, for inviting us on. Really appreciate it. From my side, Adeel Khan, I look after a couple of regions. So I look after the UK and Ireland and our SSA region, Sub-Saharan Africa, focusing on our post-sales org, essentially what we call Google Cloud Consulting, and looking after an industry, telco, media, entertainment, and gaming.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that. So, Guraj, you've got a big job there. Adil, you do too. And I want to just kind of get a little bit of orientation from both of you. So, AI is moving so quickly, and there's a lot of pressure that enterprises are facing to just start developing competitive advantage, develop differentiation using AI. So, how should they think about acting incrementally in the short term to create value while planning long term and holistically for what their businesses will become over time?
Yeah, I think this is the innovation paradox which every business leader and CIO are facing, right? And the winning approach, I think, is what we call a two-speed strategy, right? In the short term, you cannot afford the analysis paralysis, right? You need to identify what are those lighthouse use cases or business process that can provide high impact, low risk pilots to solve a specific business problem or a friction point. Could be summarizing customer support tickets or automating document extraction. These pilots will prove value quickly, generate excitement, and build internal momentum. But however, if you do only pilots, you will probably end up with the purgatory, right? With a scattered landscape of disconnected tools and applications. And that's where the long-term holistic view comes in, where while you build these short-term initiatives, you focus simultaneously on building a very unified AI platform with the relevant security and governance controls, right? And I give analogy of like think of it as building a city, where you can put up a pop-up shop quick enough, but if you need to be laying the electric and road systems underneath it so that eventually you can build skyscrapers, right? So don't wait for the foundation to be perfect to start building it, but don't build it so that it blocks the foundation as well.
So, Adil, maybe you can give us a specific example of what that looks like in practice. I know you're deeply involved with Vodafone at a global level. So, I mean, can you give us a bit of an overview of the work Google's doing there and how that kind of maps to the broader commentary we got from Guraj?
For sure, thanks, Sean. And you're right. My I described my management role. My customer role is I'm the CAL at Vodafone globally, which is one of our huge strategic partnerships that we have. So when we look at Vodafone, our work is focused on tangible, high impact business outcomes, and we approach that in a couple of ways. And just to reference what Guru Raj said, absolutely, there is an innovation paradox that we need to help our customers with. And at Vodafone, we're doing it in a couple of ways. First, we embedded a Gen AI team sourced from my Google Cloud Consulting and Professional Services organization. And that team really was around driving rapid deployment of high value internal use cases for Gen AI. It's been incredibly successful. It's resulted in many go lives, two of which I'll call out the operational assistants, like an assistant to help respond to RFPs, for instance, with a highly accurate, tailored response. There's also an internal use case of a HR assistant to respond with empathy to any queries that folks are having. And these have been publicized, and we've shared those in many other forums. And these are key to realizing triple X millions of business benefits across those programs. And the team provides a front door, really, of entry to identify, prioritize, and build POCs ready for production. So think about what Gururaj talked about, the macro part. Actually, on the ground, we have a team stateful with the customer to do a lot of that detailed work. The other area that we're working in with the same team is as you know, with a telco, the core function of a telco is the network piece, and having access to the network leaders, but also looking at new programs to bring AI to help them to move towards their autonomous network ambitions. That An autonomous network that identifies and responds to network anomalies in real time. That's the next step of what we're working on with them. And I guess the last part as an example, this is not just us working piecemeal. We have a 10-year, multi-billion-dollar partnership with Vodafone across many of our product areas from Alphabet. So that's from cloud to YouTube, Chrome to Android. And we've just recently today announced an expanding partnership with Vodacom in Africa as we accelerate their data and AI modernization journey.
Okay, those are great examples. And Gururaj, I think that kind of leads me into my next question for you. If the goal is to have high impact, short time to value AI enabled projects, they have to be underpinned by the right data. So an RFP process or an HR process, there's loads of internal data that can inform that AI tool. So if you scan your customer engagements, have you found that execution on an AI enabled initiative is going to be predicated always on a data and governance strategy that may or may not be in good order?
Absolutely. So if you look at AI, right? So AI is as good as data at the end of the day, right? It's not only to ensure that AI provides the right outcomes, but also for data, you have to monetize the data, you require AI, right? So they are like the twins that go hand in hand at the end of the day, right? But for years, if you look at large enterprises or customers, they have stored these data in silos, right? With the assumption that they will organize it later at some point in time. And I think AI and Gen AI has accelerated that notion for enterprises, right? So when you deploy any AI model today, it obviously needs to be grounded in the proprietary data of the enterprise, right? To earn the trust of the users who are going to use AI, right? And as well as if the permissions are loose, it might surface certain sensitive data sets which a particular end user may or may not have access to it, right? So hence, data becomes the foundational element for AI. But one thing which we are also seeing is we don't want the perfection to be the enemy of good, right? And that's where what we are suggesting to customers is, hey, you don't need to spend multiple years in cleaning the data before you start using AI, right? In fact, AI is the best tool to fix your data problems, right? So we are seeing customers, leverage Gemini, for example, to tag unstructured data, identify duplicates, write metadata descriptions, so that they are able to accelerate the data maturity in the organization and make it to be the effective use while delivering the business value, right? So that is how we are seeing, AI and data working together in enterprises who have got the right strategy in place.
And then, Adeel, maybe you can connect something up for us here. Earlier, Gururaj mentioned, the risk of having a lot of disjointed pilots or proofs of concept that don't ever scale out to production and really drive value. With Vodafone, you said that you identified high impact use cases, and then scaled them quickly into production. So how generally should enterprises think about avoiding that proof of concept prison and getting to value quickly?
Yeah, so I think it's really clear that there is no silver bullet here, but we have a number of things that we do to help accelerate it, really. And I think that transition from POC to production is the biggest challenge for any large enterprise. The key for us is building a unified platform with an integrated focus on both technology and people. So I give you a couple of examples which I think might be helpful to explain what we're trying to achieve. Technology scaling is, we enable it with our unified ML platform, and at Vodafone we call that AI Booster, but it's built on Google Cloud's Vertex AI platform. And that platform is designed for industrial scale, capable of handling thousands of ML models a day across multiple countries. It ensures standardization and speed. So that platform really is the front door for all of the things that we're doing at Voda and many other customers. Alongside, I think it's worth mentioning here the need for responsible AI and security guardrails that we build into that platform for an enterprise-grade AI solution. And I think the second part, perhaps some of what you touched on earlier, is crucially, success is not just the technology, but the organizational change management that goes alongside that. So we made sure we provide a robust plan to not just deploy the technology, but ensure teams are ready. This includes driving comprehensive learning and enablement plans and strategies and business change plans in securing high value stakeholder management to build confidence and readiness across the organization.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to expand on that a little bit, this idea of change management. So, Gururaj, if you look beyond the technological component of what we're discussing, any observations on what it takes for an enterprise to get AI right in terms of leadership, of organizational realignment, and I guess at the end of the day, ensuring that the people that are going to be using AI trust the tools that they're working alongside? What does that look like?
Yeah, if you look at any technology, right? Getting the technology right is actually the easy part. The hard part is always the cultural operating model, if you want to call it, right? We know agentic AI is going to reshape every industry, every role type, every task that is out there, right? And it should always start from at the leadership level, where they need to shift the narrative from AI will replace you to AI will promote you, right? So we are moving from a culture of creation to a culture of curation, right? So employees within the organization will spend less time on, let's say, writing code or emails from scratch to more time reviewing, editing, approving the tasks done by these digital agents, right? And to build trust, I think the leadership must insist on the grounding part of these digital agents. And employees will never trust a black box agent, right? They will trust an agent where it can cite the sources where the data is being curated from. It can link back to the original policy documents. And when it doesn't know the answer, it says, hey, I do not know the answer, right? And that's what we call like human in the loop design. So ultimately, I think the leaders who are winning right now are the ones who are treating these AI agents as digital interns, right? Where they empower the employees to train them, onboard them, supervise them, right, with complete autonomy, right? And that requires a mindset shift, not just a software update or a software implementation. And I think that's where the organizations will win in the long run.
So, Adeel, maybe you can bring that into the world of telecoms for us. TM Forum provides a useful index of gauging automation maturity. I think, most operators self-report around level 2 out of 5. And the ones that are at level 3, level 4, it is all, as Gururaj mentioned, it's still human in the loop. There's not a lot of closed loop, fast time cycle loops that have been fully automated just yet. But how do you think about trust when we're talking about network engineers that are domain experts that have been working for 30 years and have this huge pool of institutional knowledge that they use every single day. How do they start to augment with AI and then, move towards that future state of closed loop automation?
You're exactly right. Trust is critical to any of these conversations that are ongoing around Gen AI. Trust at an employee level, trust at a leadership level, trust at a shareholder level. I think it's quite a poignant point. So the piece I'd call out here is, trust is earned by providing real practical value and showing clear returns. We focus on two major areas when we talk about trust, particularly in my team. And we see this across multiple telcos and not just the primary one we've been discussing. But the primary driver is demonstrating tangible business outcomes. So we lead with our numbers, we lead with the transformation, and we highlight the multi-million dollars of net benefits that we see tied to individual AI use cases. And the financial proof point cuts through a lot of skepticism and secures enterprise level buy-in. Beyond that, we back that up with trust. We back up our conversation by ensuring the organization and has educational enablement. For example, we give domain experts practical tools like the Vertex AI agent builder that we talked about, the ability to instantly synthesize and make technical documents when they come up with a proposal. We're committed to using Gen AI training programs across all of our telco media customers and to build their digital confidence. But this is not just at the engineering level. With all of our customers and the customers that I work with today, we have technical and business training for the LT, for the leadership teams, the board members, all the way through and across to management and down to our friends in the engineering functions. So skills is a big part of ensuring that we build trust, because skills allow people to leverage the Gen AI and the next wave of innovation.
Excellent. And then, Gururaj, before we got on this call, I did a quick experiment. I got onto Google News and I searched AI infrastructure, and most of the stories that I was served above the digital fold, so to speak, were just about compute. They were about securing access to compute, building compute, X Neo Cloud, bought X number of GPUs to deploy against this timeline. I was hoping you could help us understand, as this investment supercycle continues, that distinction between securing access to compute and securing access to a platform, a word you've both used a lot during this conversation, that encompasses compute, support, services, training, everything else. How does that all influence time to value?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, Sean, right? If you look at it, the time to value is a very important parameter here, right? And when you look at accessing the raw compute, which means you're taking the hard work of integrating security, retraining of data, building the models from scratch, which means the delay in time to value for whatever businesses you are building, right? That is months of engineering time before even you write probably your first prompt, at the end of the day, right? And hence it is very important that customers start looking at securing a platform, right? Like Vertex AI, which provides the full-fledged capabilities at the outset, right? Which comes with the security controls, which comes with the governance that is required for users to make use of, that comes with the capabilities that you can use out of the box, and the constant innovation that is going to happen in this world of AI, right? Because if you build everything from scratch by consuming the raw GPU infrastructures, you are continue in this cycle of keeping up with the innovation that is going to happen in this AI, right? Unless you are someone who will look at leveraging a platform where the innovations are available on the day that it gets landed in a mature fashion, the security and governance are taken care of, and hence you are more focused on solving the business problems and the outcomes and the monetization part of it, rather than focusing on building and retraining and re-enabling the innovations into your platform. Hence the influence on time to value is massive, right? We believe that a platform approach allows customers to achieve that time to value that is very critical for them to be differentiated in whichever industries they are part of, like telco, which is seeing significant innovation and access to the consumer as the primary driver.
Yeah, Adeel, it's interesting. I think one of the sort of macro trends in telecom is this idea of evolving from a telco to a tech co, which would imply becoming a platform company where the network is a new transactional medium on top of which service are delivered. But to do that, you also need to access external platforms like Google Clouds. But maybe you could just give us a bit of an idea of what you see coming in the next 2 to 3 years in terms of how AI will fundamentally help operators save money and create new revenue opportunities. What's tangible? What do you have line of sight into? What do you see as a bit more speculative?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and for me, you touched on it already around autonomous networks. I'll come to that in a second. The AI journey, I think, is clearly two or three phased approach. Efficiency now, and what can we fix, sort of from a business perspective, an operational perspective, and then a growth in the medium term. So, the near term focus really is on things like immediate efficiency gains, and the ability to provide excellence around customer service. So rolling out programs to help with most telcos. They have a customer value management function or an insights function. So we see a lot of demand for Gen AI being applied to provide insights into customer behavior and to predict churn of customers, particularly in the mobile space and the network space, the customers, mobile customer space, to ensure that they understand what pain points customers are going through. And of course, with the first wave, we saw many things like chatbots and the ability to answer specific immediate requests. What we are seeing, of course, and you made reference to it, is a move towards autonomous networks, whether it's levels 2, 3, or 4, but really to help apply Gen AI into the network lifecycle to streamline engineering and optimization, including the ability to do things like next generation network investments. So where should I put my next tower? What's my network planning look like, and how do I provide capex support for a particular? How can I model my network and understand where my pain points are within the network? So I think that's a sort of the short and medium term. But in the longer term, the strategic growth areas, driven by access to to the latest frontiers. So we have new models. We just relaunched Gemini 3. It's unlocking entirely new revenue streams, such as Gen AI to enhance video and TV capabilities with some of our customer bases, looking to ensure the search function within their TV function is simplified, but also has monetization capabilities built into search when they're looking at TV. We see revenue opportunities for the business functions of some of these big telcos that are looking to sell some of the Gen AI agents through a marketplace, or the ability for SMBs to buy agents and to buy even things like cybersecurity through a marketplace that actually could be backed up by Google, but also with some of our B2B parts of telcos. So hopefully that gives you a flavor of sort of the near term and the longer term solutions.
Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. You have both given us a lot of practical, actionable advice based on the work that you're doing globally with your customers. So, as we kind of wrap up here, I'd ask you to maybe leave us with some summary thoughts. If you take one thing away from the conversation, what should it be? Gururaj, starting with you.
Yeah, I think we are in the midst of this platform shift, as I said, as significant probably as internet or mobile that we have seen in the past decades. But the pace of shift is also far quicker than what we saw previously, right? So my advice is start now and stay flexible, right? Because the models are going to get smarter, faster, cheaper, right? So do not build your strategy based on the limitations that you see today, but build it around the potential of your proprietary data as an organization. And the companies that will lead their industries in 5 years are the ones who will get started quickly, who will ground the models with their data, upskill their workforce, right? the cost of not acting will be a significant challenge for these companies if they do not accelerate the innovation with AI right here, right now.
Excellent. Adeel?
Yeah, I mean, I'd add, I'd definitely iterate the last point you said. The cost of doing nothing, inertia, I don't think it's acceptable. We just cannot have inertia in any business. It's got you will get left behind, and that could be an existential question. Two or three things I'd mention. I just scribbled them down here. Really consider this your biggest opportunity. It's not a threat. It's a threat if you don't do anything, in my opinion. It's an opportunity to get ahead of the game, to make that investment. I would say definitely we're advising our customers and our partners to remain flexible. The pace and the velocity of change is unprecedented. We're not seeing it we're not seeing releases every 1 or 2 years. We're seeing releases every few months in models and so on. And I think the last thing I'll say, and I say this through many other transformations that we've probably lived through, is one of the only competitive advantages that folks will probably see in the future is the ability to adopt to change, and the business's ability to adopt to change is fundamental. So investment in skills, investment in the ability for folks to be flexible and understand that change is an opportunity for them. So that behavioral change is the last thing I'll leave you with.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time to share your perspective with our audience and support what we're doing with AI Infrastructure Week. It was a great conversation, so thank you.